I opened up for the Chainsmokers on Super Bowl weekend for 13,000 people, and I'm going to tell you how that happened. Hey, what's up guys? My name is DJ Munition and I am an open format DJ primarily focused on EDM, progressive house, and trance. And I want to tell you today how I was able to get a gig of this high profile. I played 30 minutes before Gryffin and then right after 30 minutes before the Chainsmokers right on the main stage for an event in this large tent with 13,000 people. It was during Super Bowl weekend. In fact, it's the highest profile event that I've done this far. And I want to tell you how I not only got the gig, prepared for the gig, how I managed and worked with the production team, and then obviously how the event went. So stick with me on this video and we can go through all of that, and hopefully you can learn about what it takes to do an event like this as a DJ, as an open format DJ locally in a market, or maybe not locally, and how to get one yourself. Okay, so we're gonna start at the beginning, how I got this gig. Now it actually goes way back to my experience and lead up and networking over the years of me working as a DJ. I've been a DJ for 15 years now, I think. I started throwing parties in high school. There's a few things along the way that I think are worthwhile to understand. So first things first is this particular contact that I met and ultimately gave me the call for this gig leads back to my experience at ASU. I think that's really where it really starts off. I'm born and raised in Arizona. I went to Arizona State University, the largest university in the United States. And when I was there, I started working, being a part of the student group called the Programming and Activities Board. Now, a lot of universities have these, but it gave me a lot of experience on the event side, producing an event and what it's like to put on such a large-scale event. That not only gave me professionalism and vocabulary needed to show that I have competency in that realm, but not only that, I was able to leverage my being involved in that group to then start DJing events on campus and getting in front of a few different key players, people in athletics, people throwing bigger events, ultimately leading to me starting to do doors open at some of our fall welcome concerts, playing for the ASU basketball team for 3 seasons in person. On top of that, it then said, hey, maybe he has the ability to do more. And so was able to start having opening slots and actual legitimate show style slots through the university. Next up is the professionalism aspect of networking and positioning yourself. It's so important to show up early, be very professional and energetic and interested, and learning about what the key players are in each environment. Walking into a new venue and understanding how is the structure there, who is the venue coordinator, who is the actual event producer or promoter coming in, and what are all their roles. Particularly, I'm going to talk about event producers because that is really what leads to a lot of my gigs when I'm opening for artists, playing big festivals, etc. So my advisor for the Programming Activities Board ultimately left that job and worked as an event producer himself outside the university. But before he did that, he saw what I was providing for him and the school and started letting some of his contacts know that of a local DJ in Arizona when there are people doing events in Arizona. So he actually led me to the contact that I am going to have remain nameless, but she ultimately interfaced with me and started putting me on a few events that she does in Arizona. Now, she's not based in Arizona. She does events all over the country, whether they're political or festival or whatever. First off, she brought me on for some smaller sets for an Oktoberfest that we had here in Tempe, and then led to ultimately a New Year's block party event on Mill Avenue that had over 30,000 people there, which was the largest guest count event that I'd ever done, and more. I've returned the favor, and whenever I have clients, corporate or whatever, that may need an event producer, I definitely recommend her as well. It goes back and forth. She's been a great contact. Ultimately, all leading up to her doing the production for the Bird's Nest at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. And that's ultimately where this event occurred. Waste Management happens every year in Arizona. It is the largest regularly occurring event in Arizona. We have well over 100,000 people attending the golf tournament every day, with 300, 400, 500,000 people attending across the entire span. Now, it is a PGA event, and if you have any idea of what it is, just look up some other videos on YouTube. There are not maybe so much about the golf, but rather the party as well, and to be seen, and etc. So it's a lot of fun to see girls in high heels falling over in the grass, or people taking naps halfway through the day because they've been drinking all morning. But ultimately, there is a after party that occurs just right next to the 18th hole. It is this large tent, and that is called the Bird's Nest. They bring on top quality talent Wednesday through Saturday. For the Super Bowl, they brought in the Chainsmokers and Gryffin for such a high profile event. I ultimately got the call from my contacts saying, hey, we'd love to have you support the main stage right before each of these acts. And ultimately we agreed on a price personally. So there was no agency involved. There was no managers involved. I've actually never used management or an agency before. I think once you may not be worth it until you hit a certain size. Obviously, I'd love to hear the counters of that, but ultimately, I was able to negotiate my rate and obviously include all of the technical requirements that I had for this event. Okay, so next up, preparation. Now, this is a big one. This was a very high profile event of mine. I had done other concerts. I had been in front of more people, but something about the Super Bowl, something about that weekend in Arizona was just such a big factor for me. There's a lot of people in town, there's a lot of money in town, and being able to put on your best and capture it as well, and I'll get into that in a second, was important. So I was booked about 2 months before the event happened, so I had a little bit of time to prepare my set. When I think of music in any kind of set, in any environment, I'm thinking of who's going on before me, who's going on after me, the environment, and then lastly, the people that are involved. So first up, the Bird's Nest has a beer garden in front of the area where a DJ's playing for a soft open, and then they move into the main stage and that starts up. And that's where I would first start when the main stage opens up, and then Gryffin was going to play, and then I'd play another 30 minutes before the Chainsmokers play. Last little variable, which is fun, is that the Bird's Nest set they've always done every year is a turntable section in the middle of the stage. So they're able to quickly switch between bands, prepare on one side, then flip it over. And there's LED screens on both sides as well. So I knew that there was only a minute changeover. I could start right away, keep the guests' attention, and keep it pushing. So music. I knew that it was going to be very heavily pushed on progressive house. I knew I wanted a lot of EDM fun elements, maybe wanted to change BPM a few times, but ultimately also wanted to keep the guests involved. Now, this is a golf tournament. People have been drinking all day and they come into this tent. So sometimes there's people who bought tickets just for the artists. Sometimes it's people who bought tickets who also are just a part of the tournament all day and just want some entertainment, who may not be as big of fans. So it's a big mix of people. There's about ages 25 to 45 on average, so that's my demographic that I'm working with, and that all led to decisions on adding in pop elements, other vocal elements, fun mashups, things that you aren't going to see at just maybe a club set. That's very particular to a certain genre and sticking to that genre as well. So then I started hitting up all my buddies. I've got only a limited amount of time. I want to get all the greatest edits and mashups for that environment. You got to have your crew who bounce ideas off of, get feedback, but ultimately also help each other out when you do have events like this. So I hit up my buddies, DJ Dorsal, DJ Import, and a few others from my crew who gave me ideas and mashup ideas, and I started just compiling all of those. Then I started filtering or organizing all of them by key in Serato. That's what I was planning on using. And we'll get into equipment in just a second. So I organized by key. I started organizing by style, where I was going to start with an intro. I definitely love to do an intro track that I ended up producing for this, but then also where that intro key was and leads into, so starting very high energy, very intense, and then kind of easing into the rest of my set. And then at the end, moving into very end of a set type anthems, maybe moving into more kind of bass trap, also, future bass, but also some more fun ethereal stuff as well. And I'm going to list my set down below as well. that you can check it out for yourself and see my track lists and see where it all went. Next thing was for preparation was to the equipment. Now, I sent over a writer. I gave them all the technical requirements that I was going to need with regard to power, the backline that I was going to use, which was going to be all Pioneer 3000 CDJs, making sure that I am comfortable on all of that gear. I was going to use them all in HID mode, so I made sure that I had the USB hub that was going to work with that, and use all of that with Serato. Next up, I wanted to make sure that I captured a moment like this. So I brought on a guy who ran video and then also a photographer. So I used Trevor has done a lot of video work for me in the past for other sets, and I'll link some of his stuff below. And then I also used Thicc as well, photography, who's local to here as well, has a lot of great show experience, and has also done work with me as well on some of my other shows. So it was great to bring back guys who I have worked with before and I was comfortable with, but knew my style and knew how to capture such a great space. Lastly, I actually worked with a saxophonist who I had started to interact with here in Arizona, and I'm wanting to bring in more live music elements into my sets as well. I think it is a nice, cool dynamic change. It was a great opportunity. We set it up right at the climax of my set, right before the Chainsmokers went on, and I worked with him on agreeing on a couple tracks that he was familiar with on the saxophone, and he jumped out at the end of my second set to perform some of those as well. So Sunflower King, you killed it, and it brought a great element to the end of my set to help entertain everyone there. Something to keep in mind, and I think it should go unsaid, but I definitely didn't include anything from either of the artists in my set. I also did some research to what they were playing in some of their more recent sets to make sure that I didn't align to those either. So not only are you prepared on that front, if you do end up doing any of that, opening for these big guys, you'll often get a quick word from one of their managers who wouldn't be so happy, as well as potentially the event producer, and can cause issues to maybe not get booked again. Also, when you work with some of these headliners, you will often get sent a do not play list. Those can be obviously everything from them, but then also give specifics of some of the music that the artist has been playing right now as well. Sometimes you get that a week in advance, sometimes you get that the morning of, so something to be really aware of and be really dynamic with your sets in case some of those things change. You always should prepare way more than you expect. Even if you do practice your set and time it out, you really, as a DJ, need to be more flexible. I think that's part of the appeal of us, especially as a local guy. You want to set yourself apart and be as flexible as possible, and that aligns with the professionalism. So always prepare more music than you expect, not only, again, for if a manager sends you a do not play list, or you get, say you show up and they say, hey, we need 45 minutes instead of 30 minutes, or maybe you just start reading the crowd and saying, ooh, I didn't expect this. It's a bit older than I thought, or hey, they're not feeling this track as much as I expected them to. So all things to keep in mind when doing music selection. Okay, so now we go to how the event went. So I got there way early. The beer garden was going to open up at 3 o'clock. So I ended up doing my sound check well before that, before any guests started getting into the space. And when I got there early, I made sure I checked in with credentials, checked out my green room as well, made sure it was comfortable. I had everything I needed in terms of my team, having all the credentials needed. Then I actually went around and this kind of hits some of the professionalism, going and interacting and talking with and being interested in all of the other individual parties. And that can include everyone from front of house. That's my priority, with A1, so audio, and L1 for lighting, anyone running video as well. And then going to security, any heads of security that you see, making sure that they are comfortable, see your face, they know who you are, so there's no issues getting around later. As well as the event producers, the stage managers, side of house, anyone doing monitors, all of these roles that lead to your success. It's important to make sure that they're on your side and there isn't potentially any, they can have a bad day, and if you make them hyped up and excited for your set or for the day, then that can just help lead to the success of your set. I did my sound check and then hung out in my green room until we got started. So the set went great. I was so happy with how both sets went off with the people. I had a lot of great sing-along stuff that you can't imagine the euphoria you get when you cut the fader and you just hear 13,000 people singing along to some Avicii track or anything. You know, there was some tone play stuff that I did that people really responded well to, and it was fun to see the videos that I got tagged in on social media afterwards or friends took as well of the set. I even brought a 360 camera to capture it all as well, to be able to look back and be like, wow, there was some good elements in there. You know, there was some things like every set you look at and they maybe didn't hit as well as you expect. It was great. It was so fun to run out onto that catwalk and get some great shots with the crowd and be more interactive. Not only on the microphone, which was important. I definitely made sure to keep some moments in my sets to shout people out, give kudos to Gryffin before me, and hype people up for the Chainsmokers next. They're there for these big artists. They're not there for you. But if you can wow them and get them interacted, or get them engaged and get them excited, that will just give your energy so much more influence. Something else looking back at some of the footage that I got was the lighting. And what I had talked about before of getting to know the people involved in the other production elements. The guy, Robbie, who ran lighting that day, absolutely killed it. And it's not just about the music. It's about your energy you provide. It's the lighting. It's the video. It's all comes together to make your set, and no one else is going to be as interested in all of that as you are. So make sure that you are communicating with all these people about your style, about what you ideally are looking for, because they're happy to get input. They have all sorts of scenes, whether it's lighting, scenes that they're working off of, or for video, various clips that they're using. And if you give them a heads up and they can prepare a little more, it may be harder as a local guy coming in, but it all adds into what will make an awesome set. Hey, want to take a quick moment? If you're enjoying this content and you're liking what you're hearing, please subscribe down below, hit that bell for alerts, and definitely like this video as well. It really helps with this first video that I'm really pushing out. I want to be able to share more experiences and help you guys get more gigs. So wrapping this all up, how did this impact my career? How was the event? It was fantastic. I couldn't be more happier with the preparation that I put into and how it resulted in a great show. All my friends that were there had a great experience, but it was great to see good feedback from the producer as well. It was so important that I captured the content. Being able to pay these guys, you know, it really eats into the budget of the overall money that you make for that gig. But ultimately, it's going to pay off tenfold. You taking that content, repurposing it for socials, for YouTube, for your website as well, all of that is so, so important. So others can see that you are not only capable, but you are also interested in pursuing that. So I can't stress enough that it is so important to know great, talented videographers, photographers. If they can do both, great. But make sure that they are interested and down for what you're looking for. And you give them examples ahead of time. Hey, I want to, this is another DJ who's got this great wide angle shot from behind, or hey, I'm going to run up to the catwalk and get this shot that I was preparing for. As well as, hey, here's some examples on social media. Are we going to shoot in vertical? Are we going to shoot in horizontal for various formats? All things to keep in mind of how you want to portray yourself as a DJ, as an entertainer, as an artist, is so important for them to give you the product that you can then leverage to get that next gig, to leverage to other styles of gigs, to charge more. All of these things matter. I opened for the Chainsmokers and Gryffin on Super Bowl weekend for 13,000 people. And that has weight. That has the ability to then charge more for whatever type of event that I'm going to be doing, whether it's a wedding or a corporate event, or just hearing, oh, dang, he does this. Well, then we need him for that. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned something from it and thought about a lot of the preparation that may need to go into it. Make sure you're networking. Make sure you're very professional when you are being inquisitive and open and talking to everyone you can whenever you're in any space, any new venue. It's so important to be seen, have them know that you're there and that you are intentional about all of your steps. And that will lead ultimately to people knowing about you and thinking about you for that next potential gig. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Is there a show that you're preparing for that this is going to help? Or do you have questions about song selection or bringing on any video or other photo onto a set? Does it make sense? Is it worth it? I'd love to hear below. I'd love to answer all of your questions down below as well. My name is DJ Munition, and good luck on the next gig.